Welcome back to Melbourne Strength Cultures podcast. Number one in the hearts, number one in the charts. We have a bit of a sad one today, an emotional one. Donnie, cue the slow music. We have to formally apologise to the industry. Obviously, there's been some things said over the years, some opinions preached, and it's time that we go back and fix our errors, boys. Today, we are talking about things we've changed our minds on. Thank you to Luke Tulloch for the inspiration with this. He does some great Instagram posts. Highly recommend following Luke Tulloch. Great information and very easy to digest. But Luke does these Instagram posts. I'm sure you boys have seen them, but maybe the guys at home. He does these things where he just talks about things that he's changed his mind on over the years and updated his thoughts on. It's not always a 180-degree flip, but sometimes it can actually start to change the conversation in the way in which we actually program or push clients and all that sort of stuff. So we're going to do exactly the same thing today. We've got a bit of a list that we're going to unpack, but before we do unpack them, let's just do a little bit of a recap of what is going on in the strength culture universe. ProRaw last week. Charles, give us a recap. How it was?
It was good. Way too long. It
was a long
first piece of feedback. But yeah. So I went home in between squat and bench press for an hour. That's how long it was between sessions.
You also went to Bunnings at one point, didn't you?
Went to Bunnings, got a chair just to sit down. There was a couple things I think they could improve on for the athlete. Like there was no sitting down area once you warmed up and a long day. So had to go buy a chair. But anyway, my performance was good. 277.5 squat with more in the tank. And bench 175, which is a PR. Deadlifts just fell to shit. I think a big part of that was the length of the day.
Work capacity.
Adrenaline dump.
Work capacity.
It must be.
I was done by the end of the day.
I didn't even think about it until someone said it on the day. It might have even been you, but like caffeine consumption on comp day is a big thing. Like trying to periodize your caffeine and your G-ups. Trying to periodize your caffeine and your G-ups across 11 hours becomes...
It's not easy. And I have my caffeine pretty well. Like every other comp I've done, I've got it pretty well set. I have about a 350, 400 milligram hit at the start and then 2 no-dos before bench, 2 no-dos before deadlift. And that always works perfectly. It's across about a 4-hour period. Perfect. But this was like... Started my squats at 1 and finished deadlifting at 7:30 at night. It was just not great.
Yeah,
So
I think you need that alpha GPC.
You need to shine.
Yeah.
Well, was it?
Oh, no.
Was that,
Shine would send you to another planet.
Shine?
Yeah, you shine too bright.
It was an untested
Like a
comp, so
diamond.
the
Blinded
possibilities were endless.
I think you missed out on a few little cheeky bonuses that could have helped you get through that day.
Yeah, exactly. So about ProRaw.
I actually, obviously, like with 2 years out of competitions, we've had a couple of smaller ones, but nothing like big like that. Like no expos, no nationals, no team champs, like all that sort of stuff. I love the day.
I thought it was sick.
I fucking I really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it a lot. You come off the platform and all the boys were there. It was literally everyone was there. It was like you three, Deuce was there, Cam, Jason,
The Hustler
Marcus, Chris White, like some of my clients were just there. It was good. Just fucking the boy this.
The boy this.
Even like competing with the guys like Jackson and Remy and something like Remy trains.
Hey, Jackson had a field day.
Jackson.
Shouts out to
Well done,
Jackson
Jackson.
Miles.
Jackson.
Holy, nearly had the super meet. Just dropped his last deadlift.
He got it up. They gave him reds. They gave him reds because of his shoulders.
He did lock it. He did
Locked
stand
it
up
out.
with it, but I think it was
It wouldn't be like Jackson to fucking throw his deadlift down. What a dog.
So
Calling you out, Jackson
It was,
Miles. You're a dog, mate, for throwing that third deadlift down. Should have controlled it.
he got it up. So the strength's there. So he's come. He
had a big day. Shouts
Big
out.
boy.
What about the culture team? We obviously had I think Tash came second.
Tash came second.
Big
Killed it.
gold medal squat.
Yeah, gold medal squat. Came second overall. I think it was
In her weight class.
pretty, in a weight class. I think it's a pretty solid effort for
First comp.
first comp ever. Handled it like a pro. Obvious first attempt jitters, but then after that, it was just killed it. Killed
Absolutely.
it. I had assistance with Jay Smith and Didier, the mathematicians on the board.
Yeah, well, it's good because at powerlifting comps, sometimes the local comps, you're really just hunting PBs. But with this one, like, we wanted to win those fucking trophies.
Yeah.
Those trophies are crazy. They're big, they're
very
heavy,
large.
they're large. We wanted them. So it was cool. I wanted to shout out Tash, though, because the conversation before deadlift start, and me and you were standing there, I'm like, you've got a chance to win, like, silver here. And we're like, do you want to go for it or do you want to stay conservative? And she was like, whatever Jamie wants, we'll do it. And I'm like, you've already won the day. Like, you've already fucking won the day. So, yeah, shouts out to Tash. Tori obviously had a field day as well, coming off a pretty...
She had a horrendous 3-week build-up. She went to Queensland. She got COVID, missed a full week of training. She then, a week out, said she hurt her adductor or something on her inner thigh. That seemed to subside 48 hours later. Then we did a session that day. So we pretty much auto-regulated her whole last week of training. We're like, let's just play it day by day and get something in when we can. She then deadlifted on the Sunday, which is 5 days out from ProRaw, and hurt her back. Got her in to see Dan. Dan sorted her out. Anti-inflams galore. And she ended up still pulling 165 for a PR, like lightning.
And her squat as well. Her squat was crazy too.
Coming to deadlift, she was like, I just want to get like 147. That'll be a PB total. Warm-up's going well. I think we were at like 135, 145. And then because that moved so well, we put 165 on. And the guy at the desk was like, what? Like, are you sure? Because I'm making a 20-kilo jump. And then she demolished it. So well done, Tori.
And then somehow I got third, which none of us were, because we didn't think
she missed her weight class as well. There was so many things, but she just kept, she fucking crushed it.
So she's
one of the best like days of lifting I've seen, because obviously we knew that like what was going into it, but then also like no expectations of coming in. She received some a significant amount of help from Dan, and I think Dan, and we're going to chat about this today, like this whole like mindset strategy, and like really, if you can find people around you that support and give you confidence to move forward. Like, she was going to pull out of the comp 2 weeks prior. And then
a week.
And then Dan's like, no, we can do this. Like, there's no reason. Like, you haven't heard anything. It's just body's...
Well, it was Tuesday she came in to do a session. I'm like, come to the gym on Tuesday when I'm working. We'll figure out what you can do. And her back was stuffed. She squatted 130. She benched. And then Deds was like, nah. So I was like, I spoke to Dan. She went in and saw Dan on Wednesday. And then I wanted her to see Dan because I knew Dan would just say it as it is, whether she could do it or not do it. And he ended up saying she could do it and then obviously anti-inflames, all that crap. And she performed really well. So she's going to be scarily strong when she actually has a good run at it, because she had a terrible 3 weeks leading up to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
She got about 3 sessions in that 3 weeks. So
no, it's crazy. It's also without a doubt. It's also just a really good, like, as salesy as this is, finding a good coach that can actually support you and help navigate those final moments, because a lot of comp reps do sort of and having people that are experienced around you to help guide you and push you through, because it can be quite stressful and quite anxious if things aren't going well in those lead up weeks, because sometimes they do fall apart. So well done to Tori. Shouts out. Stupus had a huge day, but unfortunately hurt his adductor on the opening deadlift, so we pulled it there, but his subtotal was enough and his opening deadlift was enough to hold him through to second place. Congratulations, Jason Stupas. Ollie George had a field day out there.
He pulled
302
for the second
place.
So I missed some of this stuff because I was warming up.
That was third place.
Third. So I was warming up, so I missed that. You three were all in charge of them, but the deadlift was nice.
302.5.
And then Kevin was Kevin. He didn't have the most productive block leading in. I think he just did this for a bit of fun, but he said that it got his motivation going again. So he wants to, which is good. So he tried 300 to come.
To come second to beat Jack Barry.
He wanted to beat Jack Barry. Well done, Jack Barry.
Congratulations, Jack Barry. Who also was a big day out. And then David Dobson, who had a big PB squat and just unfortunately couldn't piece it together with deadlifts. To round out a total PR, but a huge squat, 280, and then squatted 300 a couple of days later, which was a big squat. So congratulations, nice. David Dobson. I'm pretty sure that was everyone.
That was, yeah.
Was it? Yep. Congratulations, guys, to ProRaw. Welcome back to powerlifting. We're excited. USAPL comp calendar is open. Our one, we're getting a lot of questions about it. I reckon we're going to do a week worth of promo, and then we'll open the comp up. So within a fortnight, everything will be rolling for our one, which will be August 13th. Looking forward to that. There are a few other comps available on USAPL if you're interested in getting back into powerlifting. And also, we're available for coaching if you are interested in undertaking powerlifting throughout the end of this year and moving forward into the following years. It's awesome to see comps back. We've got a bit more of fucking excitement in our ranks again, which is awesome. And I think the culture team is going to be pretty strong rolling wherever we end up. So obviously through USAPL primarily, but wherever we rock up, I think we're going to be
Well, there's
Good
already 4 of my guys want to do the June Strength Fortress one. You got 1 or 2
Got a
as
couple
well.
want to do that
Couple.
one. Yeah.
So we'll have a team there. I think we're going to go for
We've got a couple of Barbell Bays Brigade as well.
JPS as well in October. So if you are out there and you want to compete this year and you're looking to join a crew of people that, have been around it, want some guidance, feel free to reach out.
Absolutely.
And it's definitely a great time after, a couple of years of, there's a comp, the comp's been cancelled, we're locked down. Now we've got a solid run, there's comps on the calendars, we can get, months of productive training in.
Absolutely.
It's all coming together.
Absolutely.
Definitely, the COVID stuff definitely did hit the powerlifting.
Oh,
scene.
without a
I
doubt.
feel like it's been a bit decimated.
There's a resurgence coming.
A big
I can
resurgence.
feel it.
Yeah,
decimated.
Feel it.
It's coming.
In my plums.
In your plums.
My plum.
The other thing that I want to just recap was the Eugene Teo experience. That was one of the coolest. Unfortunately, Charlie had COVID, so he couldn't come.
Well, I didn't know at that point yet. I rang you. I was like, I'm sick. And I was like, we definitely shouldn't be taking me to his gym. I'm rock up coughing, fucking fevering and shit.
You didn't sound too healthy.
And then I did a test that night and it came up instant positive.
The vid.
COVID.
The vid.
That's also how ProRaw went. I definitely got COVID at ProRaw.
Oh, 100%. About 15 people
100%.
did.
Yeah, it was running rampant.
Definitely got.
But yeah, the Eugene Teo experience was incredible. It's one of the coolest days that I think we've had.
Yeah, a lot of people have messaged me to ask if the gym is as cool in real life.
better.
as
It doesn't
is in
even-
video.
Better.
It's better.
It's better.
It's definitely
The second
better.
you walk in, it's just so aesthetically pleasing. All the machines are amazing.
Yeah.
It's something like the machines. You touch them, you stand up with the pendulum squat. They just feel so nice. It's just
almost orgasmed on the
Literally.
pendulum squat.
Oh,
One
too-
rep.
too good.
I hit depth and I started quivering.
When are we getting the
Knees
Atlantis?
shaking.
Oh, man.
12 grand. You got 12K to drop on
yeah.
it?
Look, so Charles, we've got a bit of a business proposition. Me, you,
Yeah.
Bulls go thirdsies,
Yeah,
4K
we'll
each,
have
and then
We'll have a
we own-
0.001% stake in the business. Just only
then
the
the
pendulum squat.
but a 0.33 ownership of the pendulum.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's it. Hey, that's
But yeah, shouts out to Eugene.
Return on investment.
And also shouts out for the love of the episode. It within less than a week, it is currently sitting second total plays ever within under a week.
nuts.
So it's already Luke Lehman is just the only one ahead of him from a couple months ago that went viral on Trend Talk. So and that's still going viral. One of those Instagram reels, Donnie's at fucking $500,000. The other one's at 330,000. We don't know what's going on at the moment, but
Trend.
thank you.
Trend is
Yeah, it's trending.
Trend is the answer.
Alrighty, moving forward. So now we'll go through to the clickbaity part of the podcast. But ultimately, it's going to be a fun discussion of a lot of things that we've been changing our minds on. We've been coaching together for like 3.5 years, I would say. Charlie and myself have been training together for fucking 15, 12 years.
It's probably, I reckon, 2008.
Yeah, we've been...
At Fitness First.
So a lot of our development, and obviously we're a team of coaches. Our system rolls forward together. We impact and challenge each other's ideas as a group, and we evolve what we're doing as a team to move forward. So a lot of these discussions are going to be things that we've had already, but I think they're worth putting in the public domain because I think a good quality of a very sound coach is somebody who's not afraid to challenge their own ideas and challenge their biases. Anybody that has that dogmatic approach where it's this way or you can't sort of make gains or progress or whatever, I think is a little bit of a red flag, and we don't want to be those people. So we're going to be openly discuss some things. And the first one we're going to go through is a little bit of jargon term to start with, but we'll unpack it, which is this idea of top-down programming versus bottom-up programming. Jamie, do you want to unpack what those two sort of schools of thought are?
Yeah, done. So top down is more like your traditional periodization schemes that you think of. Like block periodization is probably the biggest one that's been picked apart. It's like in recent. Linear obviously is the other one as well. But it's like the block now feeds into the next block, but it's all pre-planned for an extended period of time.
So think like macro cycle, mesocycle, microcycle. You
Yeah.
may have heard those terms before.
Yeah, and it's almost like that each block is like the next block is almost like built off residual training effects. So you do this training phase, we're working on one specific fitness quality, and then you've got a residual to build on that in the next block. So it's like you've all got X amount of time to capitalize on these fitness gains, otherwise you're just going to detrain.
A typical presentation of this in like a practical standpoint would be something like You start with like a skill development phase, then you move into like a hypertrophy development phase, then you move into a strength development phase, and then if you're doing athletic stuff, you'd go speed and power at the end. And it's like a 6-month sort of strategy that you're going to undertake.
Exactly. So that's what top down would be. So it's pre-planned, extended periods of time. It's almost like you have this ability to almost tell the future. Like you know what's going to happen in 6 months' time with an athlete, which really, when you think about it, when you put it like that, I don't think any of us have got the capability or the ability to tell the future. And you definitely don't have the ability to read your clients' minds.
As we saw with something like the Tory example that we're speaking, like there's so many things that can go wrong in a plan, even in just a short period of time, 1 or 2 weeks, let alone 1 or 2 months or fucking
a year,
3 to 6 months or whatever. Like trying to,
with Tory, literally, we were on a texting day by day basis that last 10 days of like, all right, how you feeling today? Cool.
What do we do?
Let's not train today. Let's train tomorrow. Cool. Wake up in the morning. How you feeling today? Like, and obviously from a client management standpoint, we don't, message every day with all, 50 of our clients that we coach. But in this instance, a week and a half from out from comp, it was like literally auto regulating every single day. And I was just, how are you feeling today? All right, still feels like shit. Let's move that to tomorrow. In the gym, how you feel? Yep, good, done. All right, let's hit it today.
So what Charlie's talking about here is a more of a bottoms-up strategy. Jamie.
Yeah. So what Charlie, the day by day would literally be as bottoms up as it gets. It's day by day. You monitor how the athlete's feeling, and then you're going to create a plan based off of athlete response, which in Tori's case, it was, I'm sore, so I'm probably not going to train today. I'll train the next day. But what we talk about is develop the microcycle. So 1 week of training, and then monitor athlete response, both in how they're responding to the training and then also their feedback. And that's probably the biggest thing.
And then that is what's guiding your decision-making to move forward with. And it's just, think about it like a snowball. You start with like this small event, and then eventually it just sort of gains momentum and it gains, and you're evolving and you're moving forward over time and tinkering to create what would be the best for them in those moments.
And obviously, like we and a lot of people, talk about delivering individualized coaching, and the bottoms-up approach is really the way you go about it versus here's your 12 weeks of training, enjoy, this is what we're going to do. It's, all right, let's start here, and then week to week, fortnight to fortnight, we'll make some changes. Maybe every block we make some changes, and we tinker the approach based off what we're seeing in front of us versus expecting this magical program we've written to be the answer that you need and just set and forget. It's a more dynamic approach to progressing someone.
And I also think that the first block, when you bring on a new client, the first training block you do with them is always in some way, shape or form, whether you like it or not, it's going to be templated
100%
to a degree.
And we don't shy away from that. I just tell people we're going to start pretty general. Like you
can't avoid that. So you'll start with a similar structure that seems to, and then after the first block, that's when we send out the training block review. You have your end of block phone call. From there, you can start to make tweaks and adjustments. Right? Frequency for squat was 2 working. Let's maybe bump to 3 or whatever. Bench, let's go a little bit heavier with the bench volume or whatever. And you can only do that once you've actually worked with a coach.
Just 2 quick points on that. Thomas Lilly actually has fantastic content about actually having like your biases as a coach is actually really important to be aware of, and actually developing awareness of the things that you actually like to program initially. And having a little bit of a templated approach initially probably isn't a bad thing, because they're the things that have worked for you in your experience as a coach with your clients and your niche over time previously. So having those biases initially is really important. But then a layer deeper to that is actually starting to challenge those as you're presented with individualization from the new client standpoint. So there's a lot of layers to that. But what have we changed our mind on with top-down versus bottoms-up?
So I was top-down years
I think
and years.
everyone was top-down.
Yeah.
I think the industry has been top-down since the 40s or 50s, whenever this stuff started.
Soviet things.
Yeah.
Eastern Bloc.
So there was that, and then it was all bottoms up. Once I was exposed to reactive training systems, like this is it, and like for good reason. I think for the most part it should be a bottoms up strategy. Like I think with something like block periodization, which is again probably the most common one that we're looking at, is like why would you uproot someone's gains if things are flying? Like they're developing hypertrophy, they're probably getting stronger by way of doing higher repetitions if that's the focus, that rep range. So why would I uproot their gains if shit's flying? Like it doesn't make sense. Now, where I flipped again is
Topsy turvy.
Tricked ya, didn't tell you, changed my mind twice.
Bazinga.
Is when I started getting exposed to Mladen Jovanovic, and he talks about agile periodization. So that's his thing. It's not just bottoms up. He thinks there's definitely like a combination of the two. So if you think of a sports season, or if you think of a powerlifting athlete who's got some set dates to compete, it's like, well, there should probably be a rough general plan that takes those dates into account. It's not just going to be like bottoms up, let's see where it goes. Like to some extent it is. And that's where the feedback, athlete response and so on takes place. And that's what helps morph it. But we can't just see how it goes into competition. We've got to probably have a defined plan and something like that. And that's with competition as the only context. I think for the general population athlete, the person just looking to get bigger, stronger, and if they want to get fitter, it's like, fuck it, why not? Why not have a bit more of a top-down plan where we're going to be focusing on specific qualities, where we're going to be focusing on different nutritional phases that might line up with the seasons of the year. Like, who doesn't want to be a bit leaner and a bit fitter for summer? Like, I think that and having a rough plan for a client to see after we've done a couple blocks together is actually really fucking motivating. Like, and I know the motivation's a word
Well,
that
that's
gets...
another one that we're going to start to challenge, but I don't want to finish this just yet. There's a couple extra points.
I think that like motivation with that is a big part of it. Like if you take someone that doesn't really love training, and that's more than okay. Like if you don't love training,
I hate it.
Yeah,
I hate it.
Like, and this is the thing. Like people are like, no, you got to be willing to embrace boredom and the fucking grind. But
Discipline, brother.
discipline, brother. But not everyone wants to be the fucking best.
Well, maybe
So-
we do just go straight here then. Let's go.
Yeah, but it's all right.
We'll get there in a sec. I think
Flow, brother.
Stuck it easy.
We'll bounce, stuck it easy. But that's like I've got a top-down approach in my program, and it's a G up, knowing where I'm going to be in 6-8 months with my training, what I'm going to be focusing on, and stuff like that. So it's definitely a combination.
the key thing is that I'm sure if your coach knows that plan is going to change somewhat, but we don't have to be either no plan or plan everything. It's all right. There's kind of a plan, but that plan's probably going to be molded a little bit as life happens, as time happens. But it's not like we have absolutely no idea where we're going at all. And then just circling back a little bit, I think that forward planning makes sense with someone with a competition calendar, whether it's for powerlifting and other things. But if you're not someone who competes in anything and you want to realize how this can help you, body composition is the easiest way. If you're going to have different periods with nutrition, some periods where we're focusing more on being in a massing phase, trying to build muscle. We want to get leaner other times. We can organize our training in a way that flows with that. Probably want to be pushing harder training when we have more food, or if we're going to have a small period of time when we're trying to get a bit leaner, probably makes sense to not have training be the highest priority right then, just so that all kind of gels well. And if we look into across the year, all right, there's going to be 3 weeks there where maybe I'm a uni student, I'm on holidays then, we can probably push training a bit harder, or maybe I'll be able to diet a bit harder because life's a bit easier at that point, and we can try and map these things out just to get the best results and take advantage of the year ahead of us.
Yeah, so having an understanding of both strategies, and I think if we go just one layer deeper here from a programming standpoint, this discussion of top-down versus bottoms-up is the extrapolation and the development of RPE as a strategy for intensity. Top-down strategies are the old school percentages. You got certain ranges that drive hypertrophy. You got certain ranges that drive strength. 8 weeks out, we need to be hitting 3x8 here. 5 weeks out, we need to be hitting a 3x5 here. Like this top-down sort of magic ball view into the future is very, I think, outdated from a programming standpoint. And then the development of RPE, thankfully from Mike Teixeira, and then being just taken by pretty much everyone in the industry now, it's really starting to roll, and for good reason, is a good expression of bottoms up, where you're coming into the session and there's an idea, and you talk about this in a lot of our YouTube content, there should always be an idea of what you're aiming to hit. It's never just walking into a session with a blindfold on, but you enter the session knowing that anything could happen, that you could really express some fucking crazy numbers today. Most likely it's going to be exactly what you think it is, or it could just be a fucking terrible day, and after your second warm-up, today's not the day that I'm going to be pushing. That's just another extrapolation of a bottoms-up strategy just within a session. So there's plenty to take home there, but it's definitely something that we're constantly playing around with. Just from like a social media perspective, Angus Bradley put up a Deload post the other week, and very lukewarm compared to some of Angus Bradley's takes. In reality, he just said that for Gen Pop clients who training isn't the sole focus of their life, you probably don't need a structured deloads or proactively planned deloads. That would just be a bottoms-up strategy for deloading for a general pop client, which is a very lukewarm take in today's understanding of programming long-term. It just they miss sessions. They have life events that come in. They deload themselves just sporadically throughout life.
The key was don't plan a deload in week 5 because that's what the program says. Because someone for whom training isn't the highest priority, life's going to force them to deload. So just get as many hard training weeks as you can in a row, and then when life makes them deload, then you deload. I mean, obviously, if they've done 8 weeks in a row and life's been perfect, okay, cool, hit a deload, but don't just always make sure week 5's got to be one. Take advantage of when life's going well and hit hard training when you can.
And it goes the other way as well. Like if they are fucking training hard. Like I got some quote unquote Gen Pop animals that 4 weeks is fucking enough.
Yeah, definitely.
Like they're enough. Ask the question. It's not like I'll program anywhere between 4 and 6, and usually that is dependent again on athlete response and their feedback. Like you can do enough blocks with someone and they start to realize if they're consistent that they probably drop off about 5 weeks in. But ask the fucking question.
Yeah.
Like, do you have the urge to want to push more, or do you feel cooked? Are your numbers increasing? No? All right. Maybe it's time to kick back a little bit. And I think that with Angus's post, there was no set in stone, like you should or shouldn't do this. It's like, yeah, you probably don't need to forward plan it, and it doesn't need to be set in stone. But
people just read it as never deload.
Yeah. People read it with the top-down lens, when really he's discussing the complete new age viewpoint, which is this bottoms up sort of feeding into itself understanding. So there's a lot to that, and it's something that's going to continue to evolve. If you want to learn more, Mike Teixeira from a powerlifting standpoint, emerging strategies, without a doubt. Mladen Jovanovic from a more S&C based, which is agile periodization. Is that what the book is called?
No, it's called Strength Training Manual.
Yep, it's called Strength Training Manual, where he discusses agile periodization. And then it's John Keeley.
Philosophical topics.
And then John Keeley is the bit more research-based application.
The book, I was just going to quickly touch on, one of the first things he spoke about was how we use models to map the world. Yeah. So everything is a model. Because we see these repeated patterns over and over again, so we create a model.
They're starting to talk Bill Hartman spec here.
Yeah, we start. So everything is, we see patterns repeated over and over again, so we develop these models and plans to help us then. It's like templated.
Yeah, better
get people.
You can make accurate assumptions. Yeah.
What he was saying is, well, you also need to learn to look away from these models because there's outliers that might not fit in these models. Yeah, which is I feel like that sums up the top down, bottoms up.
Absolutely. Let's. So we're fringing it. We're in the shallows of it. But the next one I would like to discuss is this whole idea that motivation is not needed or not necessary. And if you aren't motivated to train, you're a loser.
You should be disciplined.
Yeah, you need more discipline.
I definitely had a period. I think it was coming from working in group training where you are very obviously and vocally a motivator. I'm like, this sucks. I don't want to be here yelling at people to do like staircase runs. Like, this isn't for me. And then I did the whole flip of like, yeah, no, it's got to be disciplined. Motivation isn't necessary. But then obviously like Bruzz, you go one way, you come the other way. And now you're back in the middle. All right. If you have to be like forcing someone to even train, okay, they probably need to look a bit more within. But if you're just like, what's up to you? If you want to train, you train.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll be here.
You're not a good coach.
Yeah.
You're not a good coach. Like your job is to make people better. And if making someone better is, come on, man, I know you can do better. Let's fucking get this done. Yeah, you're going to get people results. And at the end of the day, our goal is to get people results.
The motivation thing doesn't need to be anything crazy. It can just be a phone call.
Literally, yeah.
Hey, man, what's been happening? Yeah, cool. Let's try and get you in tonight. Just come in tonight and start, and then you get the ball, like whatever. It doesn't need to be anything crazy.
And it's not always going to be this like, the commando from Biggest Loser. For some people, it's going to be having like, having a conversation to help them, but help them manage some things that are going on with their life and, help them, work through things, find a strategy that works for them. It's not always like that hard ass approach. It's always going to be different depending on the person, but it's always got to be there to some degree.
Absolutely.
And there's that small percentage of people that are robots who are like, cool, done, I'll do it, and they do well. But for most people, they're going to need a bit of a kick up.
And you also got to give it to the robots though. Holy shit, those respect to the robots that just fucking do the same thing week in week
and
out,
they get it done,
and they just get it done. They just keep rocking up. Yeah. Respect to the robots. Absolutely,
robots.
Yeah, I think if I see one more post, it's like. It's not motivation, it's discipline. I'm fucking...
You're going to throw it? You're done.
Throw it,
Kickbox?
yeah. I'm going to lose it.
Fifth agreement.
Gears grinding.
Fifth agreement. Can we quickly unpack what the fifth agreement is?
There actually is a fifth agreement.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, there is.
It's not our one?
Our fifth agreement.
We've got our own fifth agreement.
So if anyone's read... who wrote the book?
Don Miguel Ruiz.
Crazy book. Highly recommend the 4 agreements from Don Miguel.
So what are the 4?
The 4 are...
Don't take anything personally.
Yep.
Always do your best.
Be good with your word or something.
Impeccable with your word.
Impeccable. You be good with your word. Yeah. It's been a while since I've read it.
What's the 4th one?
Always do your best.
No, you said that one.
You said that.
one.
The 4 agreements.
There's one other one. Now Don Miguel has... don't make assumptions.
Yeah, that's a huge one. That
is
one
a big
constantly comes back. It's a great book, but that one particularly,
that's a big one.
I think has completely changed my perspective of life since I've read that book.
It can not cancel out. It can save you from a lot of head fuckery
and anxiety of just like spiraling out of thoughts and stuff. Like if you just
what if
you just take the advantage of, is that actually true, or am I assuming that piece of knowledge? And if you're assuming it, you could just do your best to just move away from it. That's a massive one for me personally. But these 4 agreements, the Don wrote these 4 agreements, and it's been a fantastic, high-selling book. But we thought there needed to be one more. And what happens?
Something.
Yeah, what happens if the situation calls for something that doesn't align with these 4 fantastic rules to guide you through life?
That's it.
And we came up with the trolley pole.
Yeah. When all else fails,
hit him with the trolley.
Break out the trolley pole
and hit him.
Nothing like a bit of good old-fashioned violence to sort your problems out.
It.
So quite often in it, we'll be like, we need the 5th agreement for this one or whatever.
Trolley pole.
Yeah, the trolley
pole. There
actually
is there is a 5th agreement now.
What is the 5th agreement?
I don't know.
Plead the 5th.
Plead the 5th.
Plead the 5th is you just say nothing until your lawyers are... That's what I should have done in America, but let's skip past that. All right, so we played around in the fringes of it. The motivation stuff as well, but let's go a little bit further with we were talking about like the exercise selection a little bit as well, and how maybe there's the specific rule book on exercise selection and the execution of certain exercises, and this is something that I'll put my hand up. I pushed really hard for a few years. This whole PRI influence, this whole biomechanics influence and all of that sort of stuff. You can throw it in with pain if you want to. You can throw it in with performance and certain movements providing certain outcomes. But ultimately, I think what we've sort of come back to is that the context in which you layer and the education or the framing that which you layer a certain movement with probably matters more. And we discussed these in the recent seminars.
That was a really good example of that. So when it comes to just improving technique in strength training, we've got pauses, tempos, pin squats, pin press, whatever it is. But Jamie explained it really well, and it was that a certain exercise doesn't fix a certain problem or doesn't address a certain problem. It can fix anything provided it's framed that way. We can use a pause squat to work on control in the hole, control into the hole. We can use it to work on midfoot pressure. We can use it to work on power out of the hole.
On bracing.
Same thing with tempo. Same thing with pin squats. It's less about the exercise. It's more about how you sell it to someone. So if I say to someone, with that pin squat, I really want you to focus on exploding out of the bottom. What are they going to do? They're going to explode out of the bottom. Could they have done that with a pause squat? Probably. But it's more about the conversation and the context provided.
Absolutely. So the way in which you frame movements is massive. Let's layer it into the biomechanics and the PRI, Charlie, because we've obviously pushed that.
Big time.
Not that we don't, and it's a lens that we still heavily use. We discussed it as well in that thing that Kasim got tagged in with the PRI stuff and whatever, but it's a lens that we still use, and it 100% has influenced the way in which we view movement and we view sort of efficiencies and all of that sort of stuff. But ultimately, the layers, the depth at which we went, I think was too far. But we probably needed to go through those depths.
It was too
to
far.
better understand it and come out the other side. Similar to what you're talking about with the top down, and then you went full bottoms up, and then you went all the way too far probably, and then you came back into a blended sort of.
Life is it's a circle. It's a winding staircase.
Oh, here we go.
And you just you come back and you see things at a deeper level each time.
Yeah.
You just go back down the staircase.
Socrates has made a return.
Socrates.
Yeah, no, too deep, way too deep. But if you look at like Pat Davidson's another one, he talks, he understands those principles, but still trains like an animal.
Absolutely.
And I think that limiting factor with like something is like PRI is that you've got to be moving in this very specific way, and then when you think like that, it's probably going to limit output and performance. And I don't know, you look, if anyone has watched me squat, I'm crooked as nuts.
You're a twisted malacca.
Twist, or am I straight?
Yeah, what's the reference? What's the reference?
Am I straight?
Is Charles twisted or is the world twisted around him?
Exactly. What am I twisted to? Like, we've got this this assumption that humans are symmetrical when if you just ripped our skin open, we're not.
It's true.
And that was one thing that PRI did show us. Yep. And that's why I don't, when you see people that have a slight hip shift or
or one arm lower than the other on a bench, that's another typical presentation.
Should we spend time trying to address that? Probably not. If it's if we're benching like this, like side to side, okay, that's not going to be a way we can create output. But if every time your left arm is fractionally lower than the right,
doesn't matter. I think that it's the whole. It's
my
the whole
bar's
thing
gotten straighter though on my back.
Or have you gotten more bent?
No, the bar relative to the ground has gotten straighter, but I'm still like, if you look, my arms are
your arms are twisted. You got one hand like really close to your shoulder on one side. The other side is like 8 inches wider.
I'll still get results.
You're
imbalanced.
Yeah.
I'm imbalanced.
Yeah. Was that speaking of mind changing? Would you have a pre-PRI and imbalance guy?
Was I an imbalance? Oh,
any of us? Like you got to build up.
I tell you what, we could probably also do like, what are some like really terrible pieces of advice you've given out in your PT career? I remember once I told my very first client that he should do swimming instead of running because if you swim, the body knows that if it's lighter, it will be easier to swim, so you'll lose more weight.
That's pretty hectic.
Like the body knows that it will be better if it's lighter, so it just will drop weight.
The body will just figure out, I've got to be lighter.
I've got to be lighter for
but not with running. Not with running.
But no, it was riding a bike or something. It was something off legs. I think that's the word. I still cringe about that. Every now and then, I've actually got to layer deeper with this story. I went and got sushi with Mahindu in near Chapel Street once. This was like 2 years ago, and I was driving, and I saw that client just walking. And I got anxiety. I was like, man, I was like, I
did him wrong.
Yeah, I told that guy that he needs to be swimming.
He never rode his bike again.
Yeah, he never rode his bike again. Like, I actually got anxious looking at him, and I was like...
That's like real, like, you're lying in bed, you're about to fall asleep, and you remember that one thing?
Man.
That one thing, like, fuck, I said that 6 years ago, I'm such a piece of shit.
I'm such a piece of shit. Yeah, I'm still a piece of shit. I apologize. I apologize, Ben. I'm sorry.
I think you should go around
Sorry,
to his
Ben.
house.
Sorry, Ben.
I think you should go around to his house and formal apology.
I regurgitated some gluteal amnesia shit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Bit of lazy ass.
We've got to switch them glutes on.
Those dormant glutes.
Imagine my fingers in between them cheeks. I was a big gluteal amnesia. We got to activate. Activate was a big one.
Yeah. Stretch them hips before you activate. Yeah. There was a whole sequence to it.
It was what was it? It was mobilize,
activate, and then
integrate.
Yeah,
that was it.
Fucking oath. What a combo. What a 1, 2, 3 combo.
That was the combo. And now I guess we can bridge from activation into warm up.
Wait, do you have any? Do you remember any fucking just trash advice?
Probably just the overall, just like glorification of free weights and like barbells. I definitely drunk the Mark Ripperto Kool-Aid and like thought like everyone needs to be barbell back squatting.
Yeah,
like,
functional training.
Probably don't need to be
machines. I used to feel guilty for using machines.
Well, we never used to have them for that reason.
We didn't have them, but we trained. always had a membership at Hammer House.
I wish we could get double the amount of machines in this space.
Machines, yeah. And I remember I was talking with Cam Elliott once, and he was like, "They're just tools." And now they are. They're just everything's just a tool.
Yeah, I think it's just. But maybe this will be a later point, but you're just the goal for most people, most endeavors, whether it's for health reasons, performance. The goal of lifting weights is to increase cross-sectional area of the muscle. And if a leg press gets you there quicker than a barbell back squat, leg press is probably going to do more for you, no matter the context. Unless you're a power lifter.
I don't know if this is one that I don't think I ever like verbally said this out, but it was definitely one that was floating around. Was the whole functional thing?
Well, I think that-
It still is floating
that,
around.
that ties
Like-
up into it. Like, for some,
Barbells are more functional.
exactly like someone who's sedentary. There's something inherently positive about them using barbells over using a leg press, but I can't think of one now.
Yeah.
Like, there's just it's just this idea of functionality that means nothing. It's just
If the human body can do it, it's a function.
Reverse lunge, one arm overhead press, functional.
Functional.
That's a
Any-
big.
any-
That's
any-
a big functional move.
all those combo exercises like lunge into curl. They're no good.
Lunge into curl. I don't know what function that's serving. So you could make a case for like a farmer's carry.
Oh no,
Right,
that's
you
not a combo though. That's not a combo. I'm saying
No,
like
no,
two
no. I'm
together.
talking about functional exercises.
Yeah.
It's like what's? Come on, man.
You got to carry groceries.
Hey,
I
that
reckon.
Bulgarian split squat because that's a big functional one.
Yeah.
I don't know how far into the functional realm did you get back then.
Not that far.
I think
Yeah,
I think
not
I just
that
got to
far.
the free weights.
Just
and
the free weights. Yeah.
Did you go
Real
deep?
surface level
Nah,
stuff.
it's just like everything. It's like it's functional, like relative to what?
Kettlebells.
What am I fucking?
What about
Bulgarian
seated
split
hamstring
squatting?
curls for putting the recliner back?
I've never thought of that one. It's a good one. It's a good selling point. I'll start telling my clients that.
Yeah, it's good for a recliner.
Dumbbell
You know,
shrugs for when
sometimes
you
when
don't
you're
know.
just battling a reclining chair and you just can't fucking get it back.
Weak hamstrings.
Shrugs was another one that I was like, I don't know if it was all the Cressy stuff with the serratus and lower trap, but I was like, the upper trap is the devil. Don't go near it. Don't ever do a shrug. And then it was like Dan that slowly like was like, well, actually, like
Just fucking load
you're
it.
getting some nerve. Like maybe the upper trap is what you need to like elevate the fucking.
I love how we go through fucking phases here, though.
Yeah.
Like even now, still, like people think like it's this tight thing. It's like when one of us gets stuck on an idea downstairs, it just turns the dumbest shit. I remember the dumbbell shrug phase lasted for about 3 weeks.
Everyone was
Everyone
slamming
started
dumbbell
shrugging.
shrugs.
You were like, one arm dumbbell shrugs are mad. I'm gonna do one arm. They're like, yeah, one arm's fucking sick. I did. There was neck training for about 3 minutes till everyone started getting it.
I think it's just an expression
I wanna
of our ADD, our adult ADD.
The neck training thing is something that I actually would want to try, like, because I always get shit going on here. And I don't know,
like actually doing
something like what the F1 drivers do. I don't know. It's just something that, but we don't have any.
Fast Charles.
I've seen Anthea do it with the bands. Dan's prescribed it with the.
We'll get one of those things that fighters use. You put it around your head and
Oh,
you do
Joe
these.
Rogan. The
Yeah,
Joe
yeah,
Rogan
yeah,
device
yeah.
thing where you
I actually want to. I want to try that.
You can
Yeah.
also do like forehead wall isometrics. That was
Yeah.
a big one.
Or bridges.
That's big for boxing and rugby, isn't it? Or like on a ball, like a Swiss ball, like
Oh,
just-
we're gonna have some fun downstairs after this.
That
I
looks
reckon.
sickening, yeah.
Well, I've got a free session today. Well, I've got a free week. I've got a free week.
Just neck and calf training.
Yeah.
We had
No.
one guy. Remember Sam Solomon? No,
We'll do some neck.
No, Sam Solomon, the
Boxer.
boxer.
Boxer,
Yeah. He, I remember because he used to train at the gym I used to train at, and he would like hang his legs over the top rope and support himself just on his head.
Jeez.
So like hands
Wow.
not on, so he's vertical and
Like a
just
headstand, and
like
just
a
rolls
headstand
around.
and just rolling on his head.
wow.
Mad.
Did he ever get knocked out?
Heaps. Towards the back end of his career.
When he got a bit punchy.
Yeah, I don't. Oh, fuck. I reckon that was maybe less his neck strength and more the fact that he was probably over 40.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. All right, so we can roll forward with all of this stuff and this idea of like activation movements versus like warm ups and what the utility of a warm up really is. If anybody has ever coached with us, maybe like probably pre-COVID is when, so we probably started to change when we realized people just stopped doing this stuff and it didn't really make that much of a difference.
But I think also we signed some people online who couldn't come in person for assessments, so we probably didn't teach them all the drills that we usually teach them.
Didn't change
and
outcomes.
nothing changed. Like it just didn't matter. People still got results. People signed up with home gyms and got strong, and the fact that they didn't know how to do these drills that we
these
gave
very
for everyone
specific
didn't
drills
really-
that we used to
didn't matter.
use, which we still do use in certain contexts, but it's the whole idea of the context of a warm-up is really just to learn a basic skill. And if you can learn the skill in normal training, there's no requirement for those like skill development, skill acquisition sort of pieces at the start. So this whole idea of like a activation warm-up or anything like that, it just really falls apart once you get into the idea of just general training is general training.
Yeah, and then even I think a big one as well was that warm up. Warm ups are a means for injury prevention. So it's like you do this warm up to prevent injury.
Yeah.
You do this warm up to prime this muscle so that when you get into a movement, that muscle's firing adequately so you don't get injured.
When really
I'm going to throw my hand up there and say, just to give people an example of like what my bench press looks like, I don't even do the bar. I go 70, I go 120, and then let's say I'm working up to top single. So last comp block, I'm working up somewhere around 160. It's 70, 120, 135, 145, 152, 160 done.
You don't even use the bar.
I didn't know that.
Bro, Eric Spoto uses the bar.
Used the bar.
So what you're saying is
He
you're a
benches
hero.
320.
I'm a hero.
Yeah.
Nah, but really when you... it
Are
was...
you saying you're better than Eric Spoto?
Way better than Eric Spoto.
We've got a few people who don't
Eric
go to the bar.
Spoto, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, Eric Spoto.
Eric Spoto, you dog.
Oh, no.
Hey, when you've got a press named after you, when there's an Athanasiou press, I reckon you can
Not even
call
that.
him
When you bench 300 kilos. Let's not even go to the naming and exercise. When you bench 300, you can call him that. You're a dog, Charles.
I've told many people when you bench 300, you can skip the bar because Eric Spoto doesn't.
I don't do the bar.
Charlie's made his mind up. He will not do the bar.
I just anyway, but the point was following on from your thing about injury. Like, there's this very like, if I don't do my rows before I bench, if I don't do the bar, like I'm gonna get hurt.
Yeah.
No,
And it's the same with everything.
I think Pat Davidson does the best of summing up. He's like, we are descendants of the great apes. We are like, our bodies are built. They're robust.
Yeah. There's that word.
I think
Glutes, hamstrings, back.
like I think the only thing we can
Post-chain.
post-chain, that's it. Long
Mech.
arms. The only thing we can probably agree on with warm-ups is we need to some degree increase body temperature and do
air bike.
Air
Yeah,
bike.
we could do-
The
we
gold
could-
Quinn
we
Enoch.
could use the air bike, or we could do 5x5 with 1 minute's rest on the empty bar, and that's probably going to do.
I'm gonna throw out a challenge to our listeners. If you do currently do a very intensive, arduous, is that the right word?
Yeah, it's-
We could do that.
Arduous warm-up strategy. Try just not doing it
and see what happens.
and just see what happens.
just warm up with the exercise you're doing.
Use a real bottoms-up approach to your session planning, and just if you need it on the day, use it. If you don't need it on the day, fuck it
I
off.
do that with the med balls, the slams.
Yeah,
just
prime it.
excite you. Prime that
CNS.
Central nervous
system.
Yeah,
Potentiate.
if you're feeling a bit sleepy,
Get a bit aggressive.
Get the med ball, go throw it against the wall 15 times, and you'll feel like I'm mad.
Yeah.
Mad cunt.
Mad cunt.
Yeah.
Mad cunt.
Power.
Mad.
Nah, but the med ball's good. But same thing, you warm up a bit. Feel
And then I think as well, as Jamie was talking about context, I think the warm up, for me, the biggest shift was it's a means for injury prevention. You do this to not get hurt. So then it's like you do this to sort of feel good before you go into a session. And then it was a combination as you do this to feel good going into a session if you're going to do it, plus to learn specific positions that carry on to the gym floor. So I think the biggest one for us and that most people see is the 90-90 hip lift. And I think we've copped it because people assume that we do it as a means for injury prevention. You do this so you don't hurt your lower back.
Bam, bam.
Well, it's not that.
It never has been that.
And it never has
has
been that.
never been that. Yeah.
It's positioned to create a better brace. And funny that when you squat and when you deadlift, you probably need a good fucking brace. And it's quite easy to learn movements on the floor before you do that under load.
There's a whole battery of reasons why doing things low to the ground improves skill expression with certain body positions and body movements. But a lot of the times, if you can execute something on the ground, feel it and build awareness of that position, it becomes very easy to transition it into a standing posture under load. Not that you might be able to hold it under load, but you can actually build awareness of your execution of it under load and when you're losing it and when you have it and all that. And that's what the 99 hip flip has always been for us. And it still is there without a doubt.
And with those types of drills, I think a lot of them, I mean, if you do them, you do them, but they are helpful up until a point, but there's probably a point where, like, if you don't brace well, some drills to help teach that probably won't hurt. But once you find that you can just get under the bar and use your breathing, position your body in a way that's going to help you move well, that drill probably isn't doing anything for you at that point. But if your squat's all over the shop and you're flaring your rib cage, extending your back heaps, okay, maybe we need to find an easy drill to teach you that. But at some point, the drill stops being necessary because you just know how to move well. And that's the end goal. The goal is to move well. If you can move well, just jump under the bar.
Absolutely. The other things that we have on here is supplements. I think that was yours, Charles.
Yeah.
What have you got for that? What have you changed your mind on supplements?
Wait, that's not a supplement.
This is the answer.
Maximus.
Maximus is
I've
the answer.
been hearing this talk about Maximus. What's going on
Hey,
with the
all
Maximus?
these boys talking about test, trend. I think they'll get the answers. Malaka, Maximus. It's about juice. Maximus. Sponsor me.
Can you do a Maximus promo down the barrel?
Yeah, right. Done. So you want to take your training to the next level? Go big. Maximus.
What flavour do you drink?
Grape.
I like grape.
Yeah, grape's the best. There's blue. I don't know what blue is.
Yeah, there's always a blue flavour.
Not a fan. Red. Grape. Crazy.
Grape drink.
The thing that I wanted to say on that, going back to the supplements, was that the idea that you need to be slamming all different supplements to see progress, and I know in here a lot of guys a lot of guys don't take that many supplements in our gym. They're all pre-workout, but that's just caffeine consumption.
Pre-workout, protein.
Protein is literally just convenience. It's not. You're not.
I think it's been relabeled as a food.
Protein
I
is
don't
just
even
food.
I don't even
It's just
think
convenient food.
I
It's
don't even
convenient.
think
It's
a
convenient. For me,
supplement.
I have my protein because it's convenient. If I'm short at night or you're on the run or whatever, that's what it's there for. It's not. And then I took creatine for a bit, but I haven't taken that again. But I just
doesn't
think
bench the bar and doesn't take creatine.
Charlie Athanasiou is anti-creatine.
There was a point. Leaving kilos on the platform, man.
optimizing.
I think we've got to remind you of that. Remember when you were taking creatine?
brain was
And his
fucking-
brain
you
was
revamped the business. Like there was, it was literally within 2 days you changed the business.
I remember Luke Tulloch. We went to that seminar with Luke Tulloch, and he was talking about how it's like this is really new idea, and it's like creatine like resheaths the neural nerves and something in the brain, and he's like it's really new, whatever. And then like 2 years later, Charlie starts taking creatine, and all of a sudden, Charlie's brain is functioning at a level I have never seen Charlie's brain function before.
I think to give people context,
Making decisions on the fly, just fucking, you know what, we need to do this, boys, and all of a sudden,
Bang.
creatine.
we were setting up the new gym, and you three were trying to put this machine together and couldn't figure it out. And I just walked over and I was like, well, why don't you do that? And then Jamie's like, he just fixed it.
I've just got in my head like Benedict Cumberman, whatever the name is, and he's just doing like Cumberfucking. He's just doing these fucking like new, and then the machine just like built
Dr.
itself.
Strange? Talking about
Dr. Strange, yeah, that's you. That was you on creatine. Fucking Dr. Malaka
Look,
Strange.
I probably could creatine could be one that. Look, creatine's back. There's evidence that it can help. So if you're gonna take one, definitely go fucking take creatine.
Donnie, we have to make a reel of that. Holy shit.
I think the point is if you
Malaka Strange.
I think the point is what I'm trying to say is if you're young and just get in the gym, you don't need to go spending hundreds of dollars on supplements to see progress.
Stan Efferding's got a quote. If you take creatine and sleep 5 hours a night, you're a fucking idiot. And I think he's true. I think he's right. You're missing as much as creatine won't hurt. You got bigger fish to fry.
Like sleep, water, fruit and vegetable.
There's low-hanging fruit.
Adequate
Have a
protein,
program.
train hard. If you're not hitting those ones first,
Communicate with your coach.
communicate with your coach. Yeah.
But if you want to be a true Sigma, no solid foods. Blend everything.
Blend.
Why?
Liquids of the future.
Eating is a waste.
It's a waste of time.
If you're chewing, you're not working.
I've got better things to do.
I've got better things to do than chew, bro. Come on.
But if you're
Maximus.
chewing, you're not talking. If you're not talking,
See,
you're not selling.
I just think food is
Always be selling. Always be closing, Charles. ABC. Always be closing.
I hate Sigma. I hate Sigma people.
Ligma.
I'm fucking not Sigma at all.
Nah?
Nah,
Yeah, you're just
Beta.
Ligma.
You're fucking beta.
I'm a Ligma. No, I'm just a fucking living my life, ma.
That is atrocious. That is atrocious.
He's a livma.
Live ma.
Live my life to the fullest.
No, me and Buzz have got our new venture. Our new venture. It's smoking meat.
Oh, you're going to get a smoker?
I've smoked nothing yet.
No, I had a crack at. So I actually learned this.
Smoking them fools.
While I was on COVID, you can actually buy smoking chips. I bought Apple wood, and you can smoke it in the Weber. So gas grill, but smoking it in there. So I did a whole chicken, and it turned out really nice. But I want to get a drum smoker. That'd be the next thing.
Yeah.
Crazy.
and then fucking starts smoking briskets.
Smoking reefer.
I'm still yeah, it goes hand in hand, man. Like, you gotta smoke those briskets for 8 hours.
Yeah,
Time to kill.
Got a bit of time to kill. But yeah, no, it's. I was still
struggling to fucking control heat on the Matador.
Get the. Fucking,
Yeah?
I bought a
Mate,
meat
there's some
thermometer.
serious power.
Mate, you bought the fucking top of the range. Of course you did.
Man, I know I bought the right barbecue when fucking Dave from Chelsea Heights rolled into my backyard to drop off that fucking outdoor setting, and he goes, "Ma, is that a Matador?" I was like, "Fucking oath, Ma."
Fucking oath, mate.
But yeah, your barbecue gets hot, doesn't it?
Hot.
His barbecue's got USB ports and a bottle opener.
So we got some real like Greek mates that are into like the purity of barbecuing, like it's charcoal or nothing.
Yeah.
Like even like gas is a
Did your ancestors have gas?
Bring shame. So I made that Instagram post saying like it was a piss take like, "Mama, we made it. I got a fucking barbecue with 2 USB ports." And it was George Litho, shouts out, probably not listening, but he rolled into my backyard and saw the barbecue and he's like he was real sus of it. It's like, "I heard this has got USB ports. I don't know how I feel about that." I'm like, "Welcome to my home, man. I've just fucking moved here." I didn't buy this fucking barbie for USB ports, but it's got them. I bet your charcoal barbecue doesn't have them.
100%. Let's do one last on just the food topic. That macro tracking isn't the gold standard of nutrition.
Yeah, so I'll put this one on there. I think when you get some results with macro tracking yourself, I think you have this idea. It's pretty common that like, man, people are missing out. Like everyone needs to track their macros. What are they doing? Like this is how we solve obesity. This is how we get people healthy and all this shit. It's like, look, it's a tool, but it's definitely not magic. Can be useful sometimes, can be a good education tool, but yeah, it's not everyone needs it, and it's not necessarily why people get results. It can get you there, but the habits we build on the way are probably going to be more impactful and more long-lasting. And sustainable, correct. So, like, obviously, the way we obviously run our nutrition coaching, it's generally starting people to having a look at not necessarily macros, what people are eating, their habits around eating, structuring their days. And then if we get to macro track and we get there, but there's so much we can do before there that's more important, whether it's for health, whether it's for performance, whether it's for improving body composition, that doesn't have to involve weighing everything to the gram.
Yeah, because I could eat 13 hamburgers from Macca's and hit my macros.
Exactly. And that's the biggest issue, like where, you know, people are like, "Oh, yeah, but I track my macros," but like, what's the quality of your food like? You're just fitting anything you can there. And like, I think it's pretty easy to see why that's not the best way to go.
Tetris.
Yeah,
Playing Tetris
not-
with
not-
the
not-
macros
not the
to
best-
get that fucking half a pint of Ben and Jerry's in tonight.
But then but then you're missing out on just some really basic healthy eating targets that, quite frankly, most people just don't hit. Like it's like 5% of people hit like the fruit and veg intake target.
I don't
So-
hit my fruit. No,
and
fucking chance.
that's fine, but like you're not tracking your
Blend it.
macros. Like
Blend
if you were to
Blend
try
it.
and look for some improvements, the answer for you isn't to fucking track your macros. It's can't eat some fruit. Like
Get a blender.
Get a blender. Blend your bananas.
But that's why my massing smoothie, it has a banana and the mixed berries in there because that's my fruit done.
for sure.
Easy.
Bam,
Bum,
easy.
bum, done.
Why don't you
Easy,
just
done,
throw some
malaka.
creatine in there?
Put some brisket in there.
Yeah, like what the vanilla gorilla chicken shakes.
yeah,
I heard about
That
that.
is fucked.
What does he do?
He just
Chicken
blends
breast
meals.
and rice.
It's
Yuck.
actually it's like
That's real
it's,
Sigma
it's
though.
the color of vomit.
What's
And it would smell like shit too.
Brian
I'll tell you
Shaw?
what, he's got plenty of time to make sales.
Brian
Fucking
Shaw,
heaps of time
the
to
strong
make
man?
sales.
He used to blend up chicken.
Have you
and
seen
shit.
his day of eating?
It's fucked.
And he like goes to like an Italian restaurant that gets takeaway, and it literally fills up his whole table with like fucking containers of takeaway. It's crazy. Those guys eat so much food.
What?
Nuts.
200 grand a year on eating or
Oh,
something.
easily, man. You'd want a sponsorship from a like fucking Woolworths.
Literally. Or a food prep company or something, yeah.
Yeah.
You'd have to.
Get a bag
Absolutely.
of dextrose.
Get a bag of dextrose.
Bag of dextrose.
Got the bags.
Bags of dextrose.
Crazy. All right, so that's our apology. We probably need another apology after this episode.
I'm gonna sneak in one client shout out. You thought you weren't gonna get it, Vlad. You're getting it. Vlado hit the 50s on shoulder press. He wanted a shout out. I said, once you get the 50s, you may get a shout out. So here's your shout out. Took the 50s for a spin. just on shoulder press, clean, full range of motion reps, 5 reps.
Delicious.
We're not stopping there though, but well done, Vlado. You're
Well
a sick
done.
cunt. You're a strong boy. You did us proud.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll finish on a call to action. If you want me to come activate them glutes, just DM me.
DM for coaching. Actually, that's a good point. We're also, Dan, so Evolve, we spoke a lot about this at the very start of this episode, but finding supportive people. Dan and James from Evolve Sports Medicine are incredible rehab professionals. They're physiotherapists. They run their clinic out of here. We actually had a day on Sunday. Dan and myself, Didier helped out, and so did James, with the master's students of Melbourne University, the physio cohort. And Dan and I enjoyed the presentation that much that we've decided to flip it into an actual course. So we're going to start running this course called Pain to Performance, Strength Training Application for Clinicians and Coaches. It's a bit of a hybrid approach of rehabilitation and strength training and how we can get better outcomes for anybody on the continuum of pain to performance. So the two of us are really going to try and close this gap. It's very cliche to say, but there's definitely a gap there that I think a lot of, especially young allied health pros who don't have a lot of strength training experience are missing out on. So we're really going to try and fill that gap. So it will be live by the time this is up. So if you're interested in the Pain to Performance workshop or course, the link will be on the website or it will be in my personal bio. Highly recommend getting across to there. I think it will probably sell out. The interest was pretty crazy on day one. So check it out if you're interested, but keep an eye out for that. We may travel with it. Dan's pretty keen to do it, and I think the interest will be there. So keep an eye out for that, but that will be the only thing. Other than that, thank you very much for following along the Melbourne Strength Culture Podcast. 5 stars on Spotify. I think we're sitting at like 34 or something we got to, and we fell back down to 44. We're just floating around. We're starting to solidify that position in the top 50.
Trying to take out Deepak Chopra.
Yeah?
We're coming for you.
There's also a sex one about 5 or 6 places ahead of us, which I think we should be able to pass the one who's talking about sex on the Health and Fitness podcast. Yeah.
Fitness.
Get out of there.
Dick.
Fitness. Ligma. So if you can, rate us 5 stars, like, share, subscribe. Everybody that does share, I'm just going to keep rolling with this. We're not done yet. Everybody that does share, it fucking G's us the fuck up. It's unreal. Thank you for sharing our shit. We do appreciate it. And thank you to the new people who have joined on our little wagon as we're rolling down this road, because the community's growing and we're loving seeing it. So thank you very much.
Come with us. We're going to the top.
Only one way. Number 1 in the hearts, number 1 in the charts. Ciao.